Do you want to let the other teams in the league take the league winners, or do you want to win the league? We'll talk about that and do a mock draft. Producer,
let's.
Welcome once again to the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz right here on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, and brought to you by Southern Bluegrass Fantasy Football Championship. Also brought to you by Agua, Holland's best Bolivian herbal liqueur made with coca, which this show isn't sponsored by them, but it's definitely bringing you my side of the content. Cheers.
Cheers.
We're here to mock draft some league winners that you have to have. These are guys that you cannot leave your draft without. We're going to talk about them. We're going to do the mock draft, and we're just waiting for it to come up. It's now open. Enter the draft. Let's go.
We're ready to rock here. And yeah, bigz, it's our first mock draft of this offseason here, getting into redraft season. And this is a 12-team PPR redraft format. This mock is about reading the wins. Let's get this going on. I'm going to pull up the mock draft board as it's going to start right away. And let's get it up here. Can we see that okay, bigz?
I don't know, Mike, because I'm in. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it just fine. But I'm gonna get out of our camera room and I'm gonna be in the draft room, just because I don't want any shenanigans. I don't want anything going wrong.
In the draft room. All right, so let's.
Here we go. And of course, this is a 12-team ESPN redraft draft. And looks like somebody just I'm on the clock, and I'm going to smash Jeanty. Smashed in Jeanty.
Okay, so what's your strategy here, bigz, headed into this? Okay,
we know Ashton Jeanty.
Ashton Jeanty is your guy. You're gonna get him. That's your first round kind of pick at this stage of the game.
Yeah.
Why so? Just a hometown here.
No, it's analytical, absolutely analytical. So looking at his performance at Boise State, looking at what he did in 2023 in the passing game, look at what Chip Kelly does to rookie running backs, looking at what the needs of the Las Vegas Raiders are, looking at the weapons that they brought in. There's going to be this is going to be a high-powered offense, and a lot of people are really sleeping on the Raiders. I happen to be close because I'm a fan. But if you look at everything that's happening with Chip Kelly, with the two burners on the outside, with the fact that Geno Smith throws the ball deep, so you're not going to be able to account for the short game. Everything is open for a huge season for 3 or 4 of these Las Vegas Raiders in fantasy. Jeanty is the primary one for me, and I'm super high on him. So I am trying to draft him everywhere I can. Essentially, it depends on draft slot. This is a mock that we got to pick the draft slot, so I picked the 3rd spot so that I could get him. You're going to be randomized with your picks, so you're not going to necessarily have that luxury, but that's my plan.
That's a great plan. And then for me, I like if I can get it on the end of the first round here, like if I could get on the end of the board in the 110, 111, 112, I think that's the sweet spot in these drafts at this stage of the season. From what I see here, you can get a lot of value here. I went Malik Nabers and Drake London, 2 guys I have as top 5 wide receivers headed into 2025. I think Drake London is prime for a monster year, and Malik Nabers as well. Look at the connection in camp that we've seen just based off of him and Russell Wilson already. I think he scored 3 touchdowns yesterday in the 11-on-11s. great opportunity here for both of these guys. I would have liked to have taken a running back early, but this draft is savvy. They had a huge run early with Jeanty, like you mentioned, Bijan, McCaffrey, and Gibbs, all Etienne, all going in the first round. So I saw value here getting two guys I think can finish in the top 5 at the position. What are your thoughts on Drake London here, bigz, headed into 2025?
I like Drake London. I think that the triumvirate of Pitts, London, and Mooney is going to be okay. There's not a whole lot of competition beyond that. And Bijan Robinson is going to have his 60 receptions. I think they're going to be much improved from last year with Kirk Cousins at the helm. And so, yeah, I see an uptick for Drake London and love him in the second round.
So what's your angle here now headed into your double click here? You're kind of at the end of the second year, headed into the top of the third. You got 2 picks headed in here. What's your strategy now, bigz?
So I would go running back again. I was kind of hoping Josh Jacobs would fall. It looks like I'm gonna probably get either Brock Bowers or Trey McBride. So I wanted running back, but they didn't really last. I'm not a huge Bucky Irving and Kyron Williams fan. Agree. So I'm going to take Trey McBride here.
I like that pick. I have him as the number 1 tight end this year. I think his touchdown regression is going to happen in the positive way. There, Bucky Irving goes right after you. So if Brock Bowers comes around at the corner here, is that a consideration for you here, bigz, knowing that you can get the top 2 elite guys?
Yes, but since we're doing content here, I wanted to kind of diversify. And he's still available. But no, I wanted to diversify and make sure that I didn't look like a homer. So I took Kenneth Walker because I think he's going to have a huge year too.
I agree. And then there goes Chase Brown. So a couple of the guys that I have pegged as sleepers to get into the top 10. Once again, I think Chase Brown has got all the opportunity in the world here to really seize on what he did at the end of last year. And Kenneth Walker, too, with the new system here that is really going to thrive and making, him a little bit more successful, opening up those holes for him. I really like Kenneth Walker this year. If he could stay healthy, I think he's a smash. A guy that could get into the top 10 easily if a full season of health is upon him.
Yeah, and people who are followers of the show that were watching in the preseason last year knew that I was really, really big going into the season on Clint Kubiak. Now, Clint Kubiak was the offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints to start the year last year, and you saw the first couple games, they absolutely exploded. Derek Carr was having like a career year in the first couple games. They were scoring 40 points a game, etc. That's what Clint Kubiak brings to the table. What you can't kind of account for is the injuries that the New Orleans Saints suffered. Well, Clint Kubiak is now the Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator. And what he's done is he's gone out and he's kind of solidified the run game in bringing in a huge fullback, which is kind of his stock and trade. He's also got blocking tight ends, a blocking tight end and AJ Barner, and then kind of a big slot in Elijah Arroyo, who I'm pretty big on. But what that means for the Seahawks running game is that Kenneth Walker III is going to have a fullback who and 12 personnel sets, 2 tight end sets that are going to be accounting for blockers that weren't accounted for last year. And I think he's going to have a lot more room to run, and he's going to have a much bigger year and stay healthy. And that's the big key with him.
So now, bigz, we've seen a pretty big run here of the top 4 quarterbacks right now. Actually, the top 3 are headed off the board, and we're still waiting on Joe Burrow. Top 4, top 5 here. So this is a year where if you can't get in the top 5, it's kind of like punt quarterback, in my opinion. I'm still not of the mindset to grab one in 1 quarterback leagues this early. We'll see where Joe Burrow falls. If he can get back to me in the 5th, might be a consideration for me, late 5th, early 6th. But I'm in the mindset that I'm going to be punting quarterback, especially this year when you see a bunch of the guys that I see have a lot of value later on in the drafts. A guy like Drake May, Bo Nix, who's going a bit later. I see a lot of upside here. What's your thoughts on the late round quarterback this year in fantasy?
Well, you know me, and you know that every year I'm a late round quarterback guy. I don't like taking a quarterback until the 9th round. I think that there's enough quarterbacks, especially in single quarterback leagues, especially in the ESPN redraft format, that you can afford to wait, and you can double tap in the 9th and 10th, or in the 10th and 11th, two guys where you have the possibility that somebody is going to absolutely break out, like a Drake May. Hang on, it's my pick, and I'm gonna stick with the Seahawks offense here. I'm gonna take JSN. But you can wait, and you'll get a guy like Drake May, who was second in the NFL in scramble yards last year. You can get a guy like Brock Purdy, who we always know he has a lot of scramble yards, which is the cheat code, and he has that the fantasy points per drop back. And the San Francisco 49ers this year have the easiest schedule in the NFL. So you know that you can get somebody late. You don't have to spend draft capital. So right now I'm looking at a team where I have Trey McBride, who's the tight end 1A, 1B, whatever. Ashton Jeanty, who's going to be a top 3 running back. Kenneth Walker, the third, who has the opportunity to be a top 5 running back. And Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's going to be a wide receiver 1. And I don't have to worry about the quarterback position yet. So right now I'm looking at upside with wide receiver, and let's tap this DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers relationship.
I really like that, bigz, and I think that DK Metcalf, even one of the bigger splashes made this offseason in reality here, and he's kind of going under the radar. He hasn't had that spotlight, if you will, that George Pickens has going to the Cowboys, and I think this is the right situation for DK with Aaron Rodgers. In a Mike Tomlin, situation where he likes to target one wide receiver. We know that right away. I think DK Metcalf could emerge as a top pick, a guy that you could really lean on as your wide receiver too, like you got here, and have no qualms about it. I see 1,000-yard potential, 10 touchdown season here for DK, and that's not out of the range. The Steelers, they think they made a huge upgrade here at quarterback for this season, and they've been playoff team for the last decade in reality. So I could see this being a really good situation for DK to really thrive in that offense.
Yeah, and what I'm looking at is the fact that there aren't a whole lot of other options. They did scuttle off George Pickens. You've got Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith. But then after that, what are we looking at? We're looking at Roman Wilson, who's completely unproven. We're looking at Calvin Austin, who, you can say he's unproven, but he's been around. He hasn't jumped up. He hasn't stepped up and taken the reins of anything. So how much can we really expect from him? I like him a little bit, but he's not going to take anything away from DK Metcalf. So if there's one thing that we know about Aaron Rodgers, he needs a wide receiver 1. That guy is DK Metcalf. In no matter how bad a team is, the quarterback and wide receiver 1 relationship is productive in fantasy. So don't worry about how good or bad the team is until you start talking about wide receiver 3 and RB2 and things like that. So DK Metcalf is perfect for me there. There
you have it. Now, I'm headed into a couple picks here where, I'm in a position here where I'm looking for high upside now in my flex plays, because I've hit my running back 1, my running back 2. Seeing Breece Hall slide to me in the 4th round, I thought that was a huge blessing for me. Now I'm looking at high upside plays. I may look at, filtering in, a running back here with an opportunity. There's a lot of options here, and I'm on the clock. I see some quarterback action, and I'm going to go with a guy that I think has a lot of opportunity this year, and a guy that, he's got the chops to have some play right away. And if I think that Drake May is going to have a good season, I think that's a direct reflection of a guy like TreVeyon Henderson, who can really float this year's boat, in my opinion, as a pass catcher, as a blocker, and be a guy that Josh McDaniels has relied on over the years. We know a White or Dion Lewis can emerge in their backfield with 100 receptions. I'm not saying
Lan Larison,
Lan Larison's going to be there too. Like that could be a 1-2 punch for the next couple of years here, and I really like the upside here. A guy that could really flash in an opportunity.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think that there are only a couple of running backs that I have my eye on right now. Travion is not one of them. It's basically Caleb Johnson. It was Quinshon Judkins until recent news, and Ashton Jeanty. I just don't think Travion is going to get the volume that we want from where he's going in ADP.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, this is based off of my intuition. I think with the two guys I have here, I think that by the end of the season, I think Trevian Henderson could really carve himself out a role there and be a guy that can really help propel your team down the line. I wouldn't use him as like an RB2. He's a great RB3 flex play, and in a position like this, I think this is a great opportunity for a guy that catches a lot of passes potentially. So yeah,
I'm not privy to your roster right now, so I'm just I don't see where he is in your roster construction. I'm just
exactly
expressing my take.
So Jakobi Meyers here, bigz, another Las Vegas Raider. You think that, he's going to build off of that momentum from last year. He's kind of a target hog in that system. And Geno Smith has got an arm. So what's your take here on Jakobi?
Anybody who's going to get 120 plus targets in a season, as a flex play, I like that.
Exactly. And that's what we're talking about. High upside now. We're in the rounds where we know our top positions are essentially solidified here. Some of us are waiting on tight end. Some of us are waiting on quarterback. I haven't picked either one of those yet. And I think this is a time where I'm going to start looking at some values here. Here's a huge tight end run that started up here. We got Travis Kelce, followed by Njoku, by Mark Andrews, and then Evan Ingram. So interesting flow here. People are really, seeing these runs. And what I have to tell viewers here of our show is don't get too caught up on the runs because, you can't get stressed out and reach for a guy. If a run is happening, pivot. There's got to be value elsewhere, right, bigz?
Sure. And if you have Trey McBride, you don't have to worry about it anyway.
Exactly. So if you have the opportunity to draft one of those elite tight ends, and then you could just set it and forget it. But we already know that tight end has always been a position in the past that you could stream on regular, and I don't think that this year is any different with some of these younger guys. This tight end class has been proven to be some people say elite, if you will, and we're not quite there yet. We haven't seen them on the field, but we got guys that you mentioned, a guy like Mason Taylor, bigz, who you have high aspirations for. You had him pegged potentially as one of your bold calls, finishing as a top 10 tight end. So if there's value like that later on, I'm going to not nabble it up, especially after a run like this that I just seen.
Yep.
All right. So now it's my pick. I'm looking at some situations here. I don't really like the wide receivers at this stage as far as value goes. I'm looking at a couple guys here. I'm looking at now I'm in a position where I think I can land a quarterback in a safe spot. I could maybe even wait a bit longer, but I think this is my chance to get a guy who I think has potential to finish as a top 10, quarterback this year. He's got that rushing upside and some weapons that are going to be unscathed. So I like Bo Nix this year. Now it's my pick again, and I'm going to go with Emeka Ibuka, another guy that I think has a lot of potential this year to finish as a top 24 wide receiver. I think that the cards are laying out for him to be there right away. Chris Godwin hasn't participated yet in training camp. It looks like he may have a slow start to 2025. And if that were to happen, we already know that Ibuka, excels in the slot, but he also can play the outside with an aging Mike Evans, who last week on the show, Schultze put him as a reach there as someone he's not drafting in 2025. So if that were to happen, I'm looking at Ibuka here as a guy that I could rely on down the stretch in the latter half, especially when you look at the two top guys I drafted earlier on, and Drake London and Malik Nabers. I think getting a guy like Ibuka here is a smash for me.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that Chris Olave just went off the board. He was available at your pick, and the fact is, he is the wide receiver one. He's the number one target earner. It doesn't, like I was saying before, it doesn't matter how bad a team is going to be. The wide receiver one, the number one target earner on a team, it's the one that you want to draft. And I just can't understand why Chris Olave has fallen so far. He would have been my pick right there if he had still been around. But I went with the guy that I will not leave a draft without, and we'll talk about him in a little bit.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, Chris Olave, I think some of the scare there is potentially the quarterback situation, but I mean, he's shown that he could play with quite a few, not so great quarterbacks with some of the history that Derek Carr's been under as far as his injuries and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that Olave is being undervalued, and maybe I was kind of, waffling between the two guys. So, yeah, I mean, kind of a situation here where, I see an upside play down the line where Chris Olave is a guy that I'd be splitting hairs with there too this year in redraft for sure.
Yep, and I just got my quarterback. Drake May was available to me. I believe he was my 9th round pick.
That's a great pick.
9th round pick.
In the 9th round for someone that could steam up the board with how much he's got that opportunity to rush. And I really like that pick for you, bigz. Well done on getting your two guys there that I know you had your eye on. And I had a tweet go out last week on some of the guys that I was looking forward to getting into this draft, and got a couple of them already here, and a couple of them slipped through my fingers, and got another one on the slate here that I'm really excited to get, and hopefully I can get him in this turn here, this 9-10 turn, because that's kind of where I see his value hitting maximum potential here, especially when we look at where he's been and where he's headed. So we'll get into our spotlights after the draft is done, and see if bigz and I were able to nab the guys that we were looking to get in this draft. See Austin Eckler go in, Deebo Samuel just goes, and now I'm going to be going a little bit further down. Should probably get a tight end here, but
you can wait until your last pick and you'll be fine.
Exactly. There you go. Okay, so just pick Travis Etienne, a guy that I think has got some good value here as well. And now I'm back on the clock, and I'm going to make my pick. And let's take a look here at the board. I don't see a whole lot. Oh, there's another guy I really like here, Jaden Higgins. I think that, he's had a strong camp so far from what I heard, and things are looking to be,